So, we're back to 9 colonies. A fellow beekeeper had a lot of problems, and it seemed the best way to solve her problems was to give her a nice strong colony with a lot of brood and a good queen. And I hate to see that go, but I would hope that if the shoe were on the other foot, the same thing would happen in reverse. It's been a bit of a drought. Floral nectar flow, hard to say. But I want to go in there and look at the supers and see if they're using them. If they're not using them now and it's mid-June, then it's time to move them to hives that will use them or discontinue them. Let's check it out. Oh, remember, like and subscribe. It really helps us out. Let's start with some simple stuff. This hive over here had some queen issues, so I think their population is down. And this is our fresh swarm, and I think their population is hopping. So I'm suspecting I can pull the honey super off of this and put it on this hive here. But only one way to know for sure, and that's to open them up. The first thing I see up here is ants. Not good. What I don't see up in the honey super is bees. So they're not making use of this. This super is packed out. Why they haven't moved up, I don't know. This hive, I can tell already, is boiling. There's a lot of bees in here. Look at that. That's beautiful. That is absolutely packed out. Fairly new colony, a lot of bees. I'm not going to go downstairs right now, except maybe to just flip the bottom and see if there's any queen cells. But this does have an old style bottom board, so I want to change this to a screen bottom board on this colony. By putting the bottom board in the new location, we immediately let them get back to where they're going. So we'll take the old bottom board for now. We're going to give them a vented top, which there seems to be a hopping hive. And we're going to let them be. Now, they did seem to be using the upper super, but the super directly below that, they certainly seem to be on. I mean, normally I'd say this is the time to super up one of these hives. They're full up here, but they weren't coming up through the excluder. I'm gonna leave the excluder on here, because I may change my mind about this and move another super onto it. Now it's time to check on hive number 1. They're in the process of hopefully getting themselves Queenright, but we want to see a laying queen in here. Now this does have an upper super. There are some bees in it. So I'm just going to pop this guy off. There's an excluder beneath, so we can be pretty sure that there's no queen stuff going on up here. First impression is they're still pretty depopulated from the swarm. Pretty solid honey. More honey. This was a blank comb we threw in here. They're drawing it out nicely. I'm pretty confident there's no brood up here. So that superseed cell that's up here has emerged. That's what we wanted to see. Beautiful. Larva, capped brood. Okay. These girls have managed to make it back. They may not get strong enough to give us anything with regards to honey flow, other than the surplus that they put together while they were queenless. But we have a queen. I am going to move some of the honey upstairs and move the blank frames down into this. Super. As long as there's no queen up here. What we're doing here is checkerboarding some honey frames. Encourage them to come upstairs and do it. And this now has some weight. Hive number 2 was our split that had the queen. I don't know. Certainly not seeing any bees upstairs. I think this honey soup is going to go back to that other colony. Again, though, as soon as you get past that super, bees. I'll see how much weight is on this super. And the answer is quite a lot. I'm going to take this into the sunlight. Very quiet bees and cleaned out cells. So I think we're in transition on this hive. We may have a virgin, or we may have a mated queen that hasn't quite gotten around to laying. So we're going to have to keep an eye on this hive. The problem with swarms is they do tend to supersede the queen, and sometimes that supersede queen doesn't make it back alive. Whether a bird or a dragonfly or something else gets her, it's hard to say. But the bees in the super that I took off are noisier than the bees down here. And that's sometimes an indicator that you've got the queen down here. And the super you took off doesn't have a queen because I took it off the hive. Oh, man. I think these guys are in transition, so I'm going to button them up. Now we're going to move on to number 3, which was one of our swarm hives. Just going to move this super right over. Okay, that's what I wanted to see. Brood. Brood. Queen cells, not charged. Okay. Brood, food, bees. I'm happy. These are hives 4 and 5, and I'm just going to do a lift lid on them because we just had established laying the last time we were in here, and I don't want to disturb them too much. This has got an excluder on it, and they're filling this full of honey, and they sound fairly happy. This one also has an excluder and a honey super. See what they're doing in the honey super. And they're buzzing around storing honey in it. And they also sound happy. So 4 and 5, we're not going to inspect them this time around. So one of the biggest mistakes in beekeeping is to overwork hives, being them too much. I try to keep 7 to 10 days in between inspections at least, and I don't necessarily inspect all of the hives each time. If they're doing good, let them be. If you suspect there's problems, then you got to go in. And of course, if there's something serious going on, well, then you got to go in more often and take a look around. But of the 9 remaining hives, 7 of them I think are on track. Well, I'll say 6 is on track. 1 is questionable with the drones, and 2 I think are in transition with queens. But till next week from Buzz Park, have a nice week.